These are the ladies of the DC Demon Cats, an all-women's roller derby team from a Washington area league called the DC Roller Girls. They're two-time regional champions, and tonight is the opening bout of the season. They risk their lives to help fight America's wars, so America is offering her thanks with a fast track to citizenship.
I hereby declare on oath.
Opponents say it will only worsen an already burdened court system, but studies show there are long-term benefits, like savings in law enforcement, shelters, child foster care, even health care. And there are the intangible benefits.
There's no way to tell someone, thank you for helping you to get what you really want out of life. Because your kids mean more to you than a job or money. You can't put a price on that.
This outreach worker at one such charity is making her nightly head count of homeless people in shelters.
It's 26 families, 31 adults, and 52 children.
Copy that. 17th Maryland Avenue, Northeast.
Her co-worker drives a hypothermia van. It provides the city's homeless with transportation to shelters, as well as warm clothing and blankets to help prevent them from freezing to death.
Take that seat right there. There you go. You okay, Nate? All right. 23 to hypo.
We're in 23.
Pickup is made.
The U.S. unemployment rate is now 8.3%, but across the country, National Guard units are reporting jobless rates among their returning troops as high as 50%.
I really never believed that I would be this long without employment. The money is about gone. Next month, my rent is going to be dependent on me getting my federal tax returns. And then there's no money left.
Betty Jones lost her son, 37-year-old Sean Jones, in a drunk driving accident in 2005. Since then, she has displayed his high school graduation picture in the family living room.
He loved to talk, loved to tell jokes.
Jason has been studying Farsi for less than 3 months, but he says the grammar is easier than he expected.
Good.
Why so much interest in these two languages? A job search on the internet provides some answer. Hundreds of new jobs in the U.S. require applicants to have some knowledge of Arabic or Farsi. Millions of people across the U.S. represent themselves in civil court without any legal training or experience. People like Daniel Thurston.
Do you have a case for October? Can I see that?
Daniel, his wife, and 5-year-old disabled son faced eviction unless they could get a delay in civil court.
To go to court and spend money that you don't have for a lawyer, and you can't even pay the rent, so how can you do it?
The Department of Defense is considering several plans to help Guard and Reserve find work, including making employment and training programs mandatory for troops transitioning back to civilian life. But for Lelbach and the other thousands of returning members of the Guard and Reserve, that's not enough. He's packing to vacate his rental home and bracing for what he calls rock bottom.
It's just been really, really tough to keep and maintain a focus where you don't lose your own self-respect.
Some of these men and women fought in Afghanistan and may go back again. When they do, it will be in service to a country they can finally call their own. Mona Rabiee, VOA News, the White House.
یه ذره مشکل دارم مانا.
روز به مشکلشون رو همون بهره‌ایه که مالی بدن به بانک. احساس میکنن که بهره یا سود رو پول حرامه. به این دلیل چند تا بانک‌های اسلامی آمدن جلو که یه راه حل نشون بدن.
و همکارم مانا ربیعی تازه از این ایالت برگشته.
درست روز به و اون چیزی که برای من خیلی جالب بود در میشیگان این بود که بعضی از این شرکت‌ها که برای سالها وابسته بودن به صنعت اتومبیل سازی دارن یواش یواش خودشون رو کاملا تبدیل میکنن و وارد صنعت پوشاک شدن. پس این گزارش رو با هم ببینیم.
مانا؟
ولی روز به این فقط در 17 تا از ایالت‌های آمریکا وجود داره. یعنی خیلی از این 1 میلیون آمریکایی که باید ماریجوانا بکشن برای بیماریشون وقتی که میرن تو خیابون که ماریجوانا رو تهیه بکنن خودشون رو دارن در خطر بزرگی میذارن.
این گزارش رو با هم میبینیم.
How did you find this family?
Well, when I decided to do the piece, I reached out to a few of the larger, more well-known Islamic banking companies in the U.S. And there was one based in Michigan that services even Muslim Americans, Muslim Canadians in Canada, and they referred me to a nearby family in Virginia. Another option quickly would be the bank buys the home, then rents it to you, the buyer, in a rent-to-own type agreement. And the third most popular model, they tell me, in the U.S. is a partnership agreement where both the bank and the buyer become co-owners of that house, and then you, the buyer, sort of buy my share of the house back over a certain amount of time. It's below freezing in Washington, and the city's hypothermia alert has been activated. City agencies, charities, and churches have opened their doors to anyone seeking shelter for the night.
Hey, Miss Good, this Cassie at the shelter hotline. How you doing?
This outreach worker at one such charity is making her nightly head count of homeless people in shelters.
It's 26 families, 31 adults, and 52 children.
Copy that. 17th Maryland Avenue, Northeast.
Her co-worker drives a hypothermia van. It provides the city's homeless with transportation to shelters, as well as warm clothing and blankets to help prevent them from freezing to death.
Take that seat right there. There you go. You okay, Knight? All right. 23 to hypo.
Where is 23?
Pickup is made.
Washington enacted a right to shelter policy in 1988 after 7 homeless people froze to death and advocates fought for it not to happen again.
Last week I picked up 3 children and their mother.
On any given night, well over 6,000 people in Washington have no permanent place to call home. Advocates say nearly half of them are families. They're housed in emergency shelters, transitional housing, even hotel rooms. Homeless advocate Cornell Chappelle says without the hypothermia right to shelter law, many more people would be spending winter nights on the street.
It protects lives. Morally, we don't want to see anyone die on the streets of the district or any city. And then we have a belief here in the district that persons have a right to have a home of their own.
For several months now, this shelter room has been the temporary home of Yvonne and her 17-year-old son. The divorced mom says she always thought of herself as middle class, but she lost her job, her home, and exhausted her savings paying for hotel rooms. She spent a couple of nights in her car before she found this shelter space.
I've never been in a shelter before in my entire life. Middle class, always made money, had the best of everything. And this can happen to anybody. I don't know where I would be. Had it not been for this place, I don't know where I would be. Really, I don't.
32 families, 45 adults, and 91 children. All right, thank you, ma'am. You have a good day.
Advocates for the homeless want to see Washington's right to shelter law expanded year-round. They feel people should have the right to a safe place to live anytime, not just during the winter. But over the years, there has been public resistance to the idea. So for now, thousands of Washington residents are finding only temporary refuge from the winter cold. Rabiee, VOA News, Washington.